know this. Mary said it's a little bit difficult, but just kind of relax. It's a conversational type thing.
Yep.
And okay, we can start at any time. I just wanted to say going into this, Mike, that if you're not happy with an answer, that there's nothing controversial about this. You pretty much know everything I'm going to ask. It's not going to take long. If you're not happy with an answer, you stutter or something, just say, I want to start again, and that's fine.
Okay,
okay?
That is a deal.
Okay, good. Now, I just wanted to confirm it's Mike and it's Pfiel, but it's spelled P-H-E-I-L, right?
No, we'll start all over. It's actually spelled P-F as in Frank.
I got E-I-L.
E-I-L, yeah.
Okay, P-F-E, I'm sorry, I forgot the F there. Now, I can start because I'm going to take off my glasses. Obviously, the glasses didn't help very much. Mike, this is not only a new concept. It's a new way, I think, of thinking about cigarette smoking. But explain to us, and let's begin talking about Accord. Explain to us what it is and what is the motivation behind this.
Yeah, Accord is really a smoking system. It includes what would appear to be a traditional cigarette that is inserted into a special lighter. The lighter has sensors in it, and when you take a puff, it burns the tobacco in the cigarette. And you know, what we have found in our testing is that consumers have told us that they would like to have a product that had less smoke around them, less lingering odor, and no ash associated with smoking.
And this hasn't been on the market very long. You're testing this, what? I guess it's less than a month now that it's been out there on the marketplace, being test marketed?
No, the fact is, Dave, that Accord has been something that we've been working on for a couple of years, and it's been in retail testing in Richmond, Virginia for about a year.
Okay, what has the reaction been so far? What have the people been saying about it?
Well, consumers are certainly purchasing the product. It's really a different way to smoke. And what we are doing in our retail testing is really taking advantage of the learnings that we can garner from these retail tests, so that as we go forward, we can apply some of those learnings in how you communicate about the product, and what we're learning from consumers, and what we're learning as we develop the technology.
What have they been telling you so far?
Well, I think generally speaking, the feedback has been positive, and we're taking those learnings and applying them to kind of the future as far as product development and product communication is concerned.
Knowing a little bit how this product works, Mike, I can't see a lot of people outside taking a cigarette break with this. Where would they most likely use this particular product?
Well, consumers all make choices about where they would use this type of product. In social situations where they would like to enjoy a cigarette and they don't want to have lingering odor from tobacco or side stream smoke, I think some consumers are using it in that regard, others in the home, and I think each consumer that chooses to use Accord is using it in probably a little different manner.
There is a little bit of smoke involved in this. I mean, obviously, when you suck on the cigarette and you blow out the smoke, there is going to be a little bit of smoke involved.
Yeah, the side stream smoke associated with Accord is reduced by about 90%. So it significantly reduces the smoke around you as you are using the Accord smoking system. Now,
how does this lighter mechanism work? Because obviously the cigarette without the lighter doesn't work. How does that work?
Well, you take the cigarette and you insert it partially into the specially designed puff-activated filter. The consumer takes a puff on the cigarette, which activates the heating elements within the lighter, which heats the tobacco up to a burn temperature of about 950 degrees, and the cigarette delivers the smoke to the consumer.
You say 950 degrees. This is much less than normal, is it not?
Yes, a conventional cigarette would burn at a rate of about 1,650 degrees.
What are some, I know that you're going to be a little bit hesitant about talking about this, but what are some of the residual benefits from a lower temperature?
Well, I think that with any organic matter that is burned, you create constituents in that smoke, and by reducing the heat with the Accord lighter, you have seen some significant reductions in some of the constituents that are typically associated with conventional cigarettes.
You're talking about perhaps some toxins related to cancer.
Well, I'm
right?
talking specifically about carbon monoxide is reduced, benzene is reduced, benzopyrenes, tobacco-specific nitrosamines. Those are some of the constituents that are reduced significantly in the Accord smoking system.
And yet you're not going to say it is a healthier cigarette.
Well, I think that our position at Philip Morris is that the public health officials and the federal government really ought to be the voice as it relates to the health risks associated with smoking. So until such time that the public health community and the federal government really defines what a reduced risk product would be, we are not going to make those types of claims. We certainly believe that there is a place in this country for reasonable and meaningful federal regulation of cigarettes as cigarettes. And one of the things that I think we can work on in partnership with public health and with the federal government is really defining what a reduced risk product is in this country. And how do you communicate about a reduced risk product in a way that does not discourage consumers from stopping to smoke if they choose to do that.
But this would appear to be a little bit less risky, but then you're not prepared to say that at all.
That's right. At this point, there is no such thing as a safe cigarette or a safer cigarette as defined by the federal government. And that's why we are supporting working in partnership with the federal government and public health authorities to define what a reduced risk product would be. Until that time, we are not going to make any health claims associated with Accord.
Well, speaking of Accord, this has to be the only cigarette out there that actually comes with an owner's manual.
Huh. Yeah, it might well be the only cigarette out there that comes with an owner's manual.
What will people see in that manual?
Well, I think what they will find is that it will give them some definition of what the product is and what to expect, and it will certainly educate them on the lighter and the technology associated with the lighter so that they can ensure that they are using the system appropriately, that they're recharging the batteries and the puff-activated lighter appropriately, etc. So it really is a mixture of new technology, and I think that with that it's appropriate to provide education to consumers.
Mike, what is the cost factor involved here?
From our perspective as a manufacturer, Dave?
No, from the consumer's perspective, how much would that cost? The same as a regular carton of cigarettes?
Yeah, the actual price of cigarettes is determined by retailers. But to purchase the Accord system in Richmond, I think the average price right now is around $33, which includes the Accord system, the charger, the special lighter, 3 packs of product. And then as they replace that product with additional cartons, I think the pricing is similar to what it is for other premium cigarettes that are sold in the Richmond area.
And this system is designed to last for, what, about a year?
You know, I'm really not sure of the answer to that question, Dave.
It's about a year.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary, very much.
Thanks,
Mary did all the research. And she also
we'll get Mary on tape here, and we'll get that answer for you.
I don't know. Mary said she wants a talent fee, Mike.
She deserves one.
If you were to, given your experience, if you were to take an educated guess right now, a year from now, do you think this would be on the market, widespread, or still at a testing phase?
Yeah, we're in a situation right now, Dave, where I think we're learning a lot in the retail testing, and I can't really speculate on where that will take us in the future, but I can tell you that the things we're learning will certainly be applied to, you know, future innovation for Philip Morris.
What about Merit cigarettes? Something new on the market. You had a full page ad about the banded paper. Explain that. I mean, this is something that's new on the market, at least in the Charlotte area.
Yeah, we've been working on a reduced ignition propensity cigarette for some time now. And with Merit Paper Select paper, we have found a way to reduce the ignition propensity of a cigarette in a way that is acceptable to consumers, that we can go to market with a product like Merit on. The Merit with Special Paper Select is really a new, well, let's start all over with that, Dave.
Sure.
If you want me to describe kind of what Paper Select's all about, I'll do that for you. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, just, you know, wherever you feel comfortable.
Okay.
It's a new, is it a new concept, or is it just something that's being tested out with cigarettes?
Well, it's the concept of applying bands of paper to a traditional cigarette to slow down the burn rate is not a new concept. What has been challenging is to create technology that allows us to incorporate that into the manufacturing process. And what we have been able to accomplish with Paper Select is to create a product that is less likely to ignite certain fabrics, which reduces the risk of carelessly handled cigarettes starting fires, but yet delivers the same taste and feel that a typical cigarette would have.
So, in other words, if I were to smoke, if I'm a smoker and I were to smoke Merit cigarette, and I have been smoking Merit cigarette, there would be no noticeable difference.
Yeah, what you would notice that might be different is if you left the cigarette unattended, say in an ashtray, that it would have a much higher likelihood of extinguishing itself. The Special Paper Select paper is actually bands of paper that are applied in the manufacturing process over a typical cigarette paper, so that when the cigarette burns and crosses over these special bands, it actually deprives it of oxygen, so it increases the likelihood that that cigarette will extinguish.
When we say increases the likelihood, would you happen to have a percentage factor, Mike? I mean, let me give you a little example. Let's say I'm smoking and I fall, that this won't happen in tragic situations. I fall asleep on the living room chair. The cigarette drops out of my hand and winds up on the sofa or laying perhaps on my lap. What is the percentage that this would prevent, with this banded paper, this would prevent it from catching fire?
Well, I mean, first of all, Dave, there's really no such thing as a fire-safe cigarette. And cigarettes that are handled carelessly, like anything that is lit and handled carelessly, can in fact cause fires. But if you take Merit with Paper Select and compare it to conventional cigarettes using that same type of Paper Select technology, you would see a reduced ignition propensity ranging from 30% to 90%, depending upon the product.
The cigarettes, as they are right now, they would probably, there's a good chance they would keep smoldering, even though no one is puffing on the cigarette. With Merit, with the banded paper, at what point does that cigarette extinguish itself in terms of seconds, a minute?
Yeah, I'm really not sure, Dave, on what the timing of it is, but each one of those bands of paper that are applied over the top of the traditional cigarette paper really act as a speed bump that slows that burn rate down significantly, which increases the likelihood that that cigarette left unattended would extinguish itself.
What do you think the future of this particular product is, banded paper?
Yeah, we've been very encouraged by the testing that we have done. Consumers have told us that they